Okay, great. There's 5 people waiting already? Wow. Cheryl, there's already 5 people waiting. Can we put your bag in the closet or behind the desk maybe?
And we sit right here because
Oh, walking back and forth. Okay, we can move that chair. Then put it somewhere if you can sit. Alyssa, you see it? Oh, we have mics. Hang on. Stand by. Aloha, everyone. Welcome to our talk this evening. We are just working out some technical kinks here, and then we'll be right back with you guys. How did that volume sound? Okay, great. Thank you, Alyssa. I'm gonna just let this roll and take it, like minimize it, right? I don't need to. It's great. It's kind of dark though, huh? It's kind of not great lighting. Well, it'll be what it'll be. Thanks, bye. All right, we are officially live, everyone. Oops, sorry, Eric.
What about Insta Live? Will you go live on Insta?
No, not yet.
There's 16 followers who are active now. One of them's me.
All right, so there's where Cheryl will be standing. I might should have done it with 2 computers, but I was worried I wouldn't have enough places to. Eric, please move your hand down here.
I was going to go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, we're not ready for that yet.
Control 3.
so your computer screen is just showing that cue to your laptop.
This will, I'm gonna, when you actually start, I'm gonna do this. But
But the camera.
whenever I have to go back and forth between you, like it'll kind of be where I'm gonna be here, and it'll just be a video of her playing while we do introductions and that sort of thing. And then once it goes to there, then I can make that part of the screen small and bring this up big. Does that make
So
sense?
it's not shooting from the computer.
It's shooting from this. It's shooting from this. Yeah. That's just projecting the screen. Yeah, on the live stream or on the.
The live stream.
Yeah, I don't know that it'll be.
That's what's going to be seen.
Getting closer.
It's gonna be tough for people to see. You'll have to be very descriptive.
Or move it closer.
Well, I mean, it's this. So, well, yeah, I don't know. Guess we'll find out.
It doesn't have to grab your computer.
We'll find out from everyone's reviews how we did. Do you want to move it closer? Like we can move it as far as this cord will reach.
Oh, never mind.
Let's see how we do here. Do you want to be our camera person, Eric?
No shooting.
So it's flipping everything.
How it's what?
Inverted.
It's inverted, so that's over there. So it's all the words moving backwards.
Very possibly. I feel like I'm in the movie Inception right now, so I can't like what is on the screen versus what.
You could probably fix that with things.
Yeah.
It's literally going to be.
Oh boy, guys. This.
Is there a download for that camera that you're using?
I thought we had, just when you click back, we can see here.
So I don't want the projection, it's the YouTube, right? Can I just end the live stream and like, or is it on another screen that I can't find now? Do you guys remember how you go flip between
Three fingers to go up,
3 fingers up?
and then you can see all the pages that are open. Google Chrome at the top.
Thank God you're here. Oh my God. So, edit. The words are gonna be backwards, it looks like.
We don't end the live stream with music room, that's the thing.
Are you talking to me?
That's the message that just came through from Melissa.
Don't end the live stream. Okay. No, welcome you guys. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna be able I won't be able to fix that.
It did say, like, when you were sorting through.
Yeah, this does mirror, but what you guys don't realize is this is the projector, not the live cam. So what it's projecting, if I turn the mirror off, then that goes away. So it's just the webcam aspect.
Yeah, this will be instant, like, it's when it goes live.
Tell everybody that you jump on Instagram.
Eric, are you, what are you doing right now?
Just waiting to go live.
Is there something that doesn't involve, is there a way to get the webcam to and reverse the image because everything's coming through backwards, right? The text. Oh, it's coming through correctly. Oh, great. Awesome. Thanks. That's all I needed. Okay, bye.
It's still be on.
It's normal? It's normal on her end. I don't know. But it's 5:04, so I guess we should get started. Let's see. Gabby, can I borrow you for a second?
Yeah.
Will you move the webcam to me, or I can try standing close to the screen. All right, aloha everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening.
What happened? I didn't do anything.
We're just having a few technical difficulties, and we'll be getting right back with you guys. So everybody, just stand by for a few minutes. We still have some people walking in, so stand by. Is it like even on now?
Yeah, it's black.
You can be here an hour before. You can have everything set up perfectly. All right, you have to sit in this seat and not let anyone touch it. All right.
Do you
Start again.
the camera?
Yeah. I guess so. You can sit in my chair and probably reach it okay.
You're so dark.
I am so dark. Yeah. However, what we found is when we turn the lights on, you can see the screen much. It's not nearly as good. So we're gonna leave it this way. Good morning, or no, good evening, everyone. My name is Victoria, and I'm a scuba instructor here on Maui. Also a boat captain, and I've been diving here for the last 25 years and have enjoyed seeing the subject of our talk tonight underwater a few times myself. I do want to address a few housekeeping things right off the bat. There are restrooms located downstairs, so if you guys need to use a restroom. There is parking validation available, so the stewards at the front can help you out with that. And I do want to say mahalo to Hawaii Wildlife Discovery Center for allowing us to use this amazing space that they have here. And they have another intimate connection with Hawaiian Hawksbills, which I'm sure Cheryl will talk a bit more about later on. But I wanted to say thank you for them letting us use this space tonight. And I do have a request for you guys. If anyone can help us to walk the chairs out at the end of the evening to the back of the space, that would be greatly appreciated. So mahalo for that. I also wanted to just talk a little bit about the Lama Kai Foundation. They're the ones who are hosting the talk this evening. And the fact that they do a lot of educational programs, the ReefTalks that we're at right now, as well as the Dave's Mooring Buoy program. I did put a QR code on the desk out front if you guys are interested in learning more about the Lama Kai Foundation. They have lots of ocean stewardship and marine conservation programs, so really excited to be here on their behalf today. And then there are a few familiar faces in the crowd. So I wanted to ask how many of you guys have ever seen the subject of our talk tonight, Miss Rocket Girl? Excellent. And then there's one person in the background there who's probably spent the most time with Rocket Girl of anyone. And that's Mr. Don McLeish. Don, would you mind standing for a moment for everyone to see you and say thank you? Don has probably taken the most photos of Rocket Girl, and I'm pretty sure, and I didn't do the math to figure this out for sure, but I would say she's probably the most photographed Hawksbill on the planet. And whenever you guys see photos of her on the internet, odds are those are Dawn's photos. And in fact, the video that I was playing earlier, that's Dawn's video as well of Rocket Girl. So thanks to Dawn, because you're a really significant part of Rocket Girl's story and why we're able to piece some of this together. So thank you for that. Our speaker tonight is Cheryl King, and we'll be bringing her up in just a moment. She's a Kihei resident, so not a Lahaina girl herself. And she's a marine biologist. She's been on research teams around the globe, and she specializes in Hawaiian endangered species research. And she's been doing that for 20 plus years, is that right? Yeah. She's been working with sea turtles since 1996, and we're really grateful for her to come and talk to us a little bit about the Hawksbills tonight. Our screen is going to give us a little bit of trouble, so we'll just kind of work through but the lighting is probably better on me now, right? No. So I was going to show a video from Noah about sea turtles, so we'll just work on that for a second, and then we'll bring Cheryl up. Thank you, guys. You're fast, Gabby.
I didn't touch it this time. I promise.
I have no idea what's going on. It didn't do it for the last 2 hours. Eric, would you be willing to rotate that webcam so that we're looking at the screen? You're saying you can see it, Gabby. Wow. Cheryl, do you know any jokes or chants that you can do for us right now in the middle of our technical difficulties?
Okay, guys, how is my audio? Can you hear me? Good. That works? Well, thing works. Okay, I'm just gonna do a presentation in the dark. We're just gonna pretend like we're doing a night dive with Hawksbill sea turtles right now. This is about what it looks like.
Perfect.
And my best turtle joke I can think of off the top of my head is why do you go across the road? Everybody knows, why not? Not explaining, but maybe that does happen here now and then. There's no across the road to get to the Shell station.
Oh my goodness.
That's right. That's just a joke. But anyway, so yeah, my name is Cheryl. You can't see me, that's totally fine. I'm good with that. We're going to be talking about the Hawksbill sea turtles, and we're really lucky to be here at this spot right now because this is kind of one of our hot spots for the Hawksbill sea turtles. And this is a critically endangered species, so everything we can learn about them and try to help them the better. And that's why we're doing this presentation kind of a last minute, throwing it all together, because we do have some exciting news about our resident quote-unquote Hawksbill rocket girl. And I'm going to show some cool photos of them. And here we have action. Maybe this is working now. Yeah, can you see it?
We're almost ready, Cheryl. We're so close now. You won't believe it.
Magic is happening. Okay, so screen's up.
All right, YouTube folks, this is for you. We're ready. You want me to play the video? I can do that.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. That is what I said I would do, but then I was completely mortified at all the technical problems. So I'm here now, Cheryl.
In the nearshore waters of the island of Hawaii, scientist Alexander Gauss carries out the night capture of a Hawksbill sea turtle.
I swear this is louder.
Turtles are measured, weighed, and photographed, part of the research underway to better understand and manage the Hawaiian
research is conducting in-water monitoring at foraging sites, so where turtles feed. If we're looking up to find
I
the
don't
same
think we'll
turtles,
pick up the sound and stuff.
we can do this
He's talking about how NOAA captures and monitors sea turtles. And to learn more about their habitat, about their foraging grounds.
To ensure viability of the species into the future.
Global populations have declined by an estimated 90% over the last 100 years, having a major impact on the ability of hawksbills to fulfill their ecological roles. As they're the only species of sea turtles that eat sponges, they help ensure sponges don't overtake the reef. The main Hawaiian Islands host the largest and only consistent nesting colony in the U.S. Pacific, but still only
Nesting colonies in the
nesting females each year. The need to focus research on this population is critical. Satellite devices are attached to track turtle movement. When the turtle comes to the surface to breathe, the transmitter sends a signal to orbiting satellites, and this sends a location point down to the scientists who can then connect the dots and get a track of the turtle's movements.
We've tagged a total of 16 adult female hawksbill turtles. Results from satellite telemetry have shown us that after nesting, the adult female hawksbills, they might migrate from one island to the other or remain on the same island, but they almost never leave the island chain of Hawaii. And this really contrasts sharply with some of the migratory behavior exhibited by the species in other parts of the world, and really presents us with some unique conservation and management opportunities so we can protect the entire life cycle and both foraging and nesting sites for the species. We're also trying to learn about the genetics of hawksbill turtles around the Hawaiian Islands. We take a skin sample for genetic analysis, which can give us insights into things like which nesting colonies are contributing the most to the different foraging grounds. How long have the different nesting colonies been separated, and how different genetically are they? And we can even gain insights into things like how many males are in the population.
Using a genetic database, NOAA scientists are able to identify hawksbills that don't originate from any of the known beaches in Hawaii, providing clues that there are nesting sites that are unaccounted for.
So there are a number of beaches around the Hawaiian Islands that simply haven't been investigated today because they're isolated or really hard to get to. We're looking to implement innovative tools such as drones, so drones can access these areas much more easily and in a fraction of the time. Until we inventory these beaches, we can't know their importance for the population. How many hawksbills do they support? What threats exist? These are the types of things that once we know, then we can get a better assessment of the Hawaiian hawksbill population. Fortunately, there are several organizations here on Hawaii that have been protecting nests and ensuring hatchlings make it to the sea safely for decades. And this really gives us optimism and hope that the population will rebound in the near future.
Hawksbill nests are often destroyed by non-native predators such as mongoose, rats, and feral cats. Conservation efforts to protect nests and hatchlings are essential and are carried out by many partners.
These groups also generate important information that we incorporate into our scientific research. By combining all of these research tools, we can really get a better assessment of hawksbill turtle populations around the Hawaiian Islands. And what we ultimately want is there to be healthy, robust populations of hawksbills inhabiting Hawaiian waters and allowing them to fulfill their ecological roles.
So I definitely apologize if the sound wasn't loud enough, but I imagine we're going to have some overlap here with what Cheryl is presenting. So without further ado, we'll turn it over to Cheryl.
Alrighty, guys. Yeah, sorry about the sound. That was some really good footage. So if you just saw the pretty pictures and the B-roll footage and in-water footage, it's going to replicate a lot of what we're going to show right now. But yeah, we'll just go to the next slide and get this started now. So a quick overview of what we're going to talk about. What is institutional photo ID? And of course, we're going to talk about the Star of Snow Rocket Girl and a little bit about nesting season and how everybody out there is going to get involved. So, of course, I've got to first acknowledge my past. Back in the day, back in 1999, I went to the International Sea Turtle Symposium in Texas, and I saw a presentation by Ursula and Peter Bennett and George Palazzo there, and this is right before I moved to Hawaii. So, watching this presentation, these guys have a website called turtles.org, And they were doing this photo ID where off of Western Maui here. And so I saw what they were doing, and I was like, this is such a cool project. And that was even prior to really I was moving there, and kind of planted the seed somehow. And from here, I kind of followed their footsteps. So it's kind of a fun history. So check the next slide. And of course, everybody that's been involved in this project over the last 25 years now almost. Couldn't do it without everybody, and everyone's support, family, friends, everybody's involved. Of course, Fish, he's in the back here. And this is his Monoea plate. Monoea is the Hawaiian word for Hawksbill sea turtles. And he got the best plate in the world. That's awesome. Next slide. So what is photo ID? Photo ID is a short for photo identification. So when you're tracking the population of something, it's really helpful to know individuals. Right? Just like if you want to track people, you want to know who your friends are, and where they're going, what they're doing, and how they're surviving, all that kind of stuff. So the cool thing about Hawksbill sea turtles and green sea turtles, and a few other pieces that are tougher to do, but their scale patterns are individualistic to each individual. So the left side of the face is different than the right side of the face, and you use the top of the head, all these different scales, and of course the clippers, which is what I end up using a lot of. So you can collect these photos and for years and years, and if you see the turtle again, you can match it up. And it doesn't, these patterns don't change significantly over time. So that's the way to track individuals. It's really easy, and everyone can help by doing that, by taking photos. Next slide. So back again, a little bit of my history. This is the first Hawaiian hospital I ever got to see. This was in June 23rd. I'm going to read this last article, back in the year 2000. So by the time I died, they off my kitty ironically, and I see the hospital just take off, and I get this one photo of it right here. My crappy disposable private camera that had developed film, if everyone remembers that. And it's such a bad photo because it's so grainy and whatever, but you can still get out the scale pattern really well. And that's when I realized I wanted to start this work I do with hospitals, and realizing not just the face like most people were doing it, a few people were doing it in the world, but that I could use the flipper patterns, and that's going to be a lot more helpful because, like my crappy photo here, not edited photos made like Don's photos. So we have to take what we can get. So next slide. So now everybody's photos are amazing because the technology has really picked up a notch with everyone's photos, the cameras, I should say. So we're getting a lot better resolution and learning a lot more photography skills, I should say. Next slide. So this also works for green sea turtles. So that's the Hawaiian for greens or Hawaiian, and the Hawaiian word for Hawksbill, obviously we said already the point there. And you can do a photo ID really easily with Hawksbills and greens. Greens are actually more crisp, their scale, and they're a lot more, they're just a lot easier to do, to compare, I should say. Hawksbills are a lot tougher to do, but that's what I were so interested in Hawksbills. They don't make it easy for us, but we definitely do. Next slide. And again, getting both ankles, the left side, the right side is really important, and the tops of those flippers, the dorsal side. Next slide. So these are some awesome photos from Dawn. So take a minute and so the column on the left of the turtles, that's Rocket Girl, that's Star Shell, and the column on the right is Melinda. So each turtle gets 9 specific numbers, and then the names come from the people who submit photos for the first time in the catalog. So one, you just kind of try to look at the scale patterns. Just take a minute. So Rocket Girl was named for rocket after a rocket, which looks like on the top of her head there, she kind of looks like it has a rocket with flames coming out. And then versus Melinda has a different sort of shape on top of her head. But they all kind of look similar, but if you really start looking at them, they look different. So for the next slide, please. And so this one, this column, left column is Misty, and the column on the right is Twinkles. And again, Twinkles also has a rocket on the top of her head. So even if you are swimming out about and you see a turtle look at the top of the head, and you see, notice that it has a rocket pattern, don't assume it's rocket because other other turtles have the same sort of patterns. So the next examples on the left is Boeo, and the one on the right is Hake 83N. So on the bottom right there, you'll see that's a flipper tag. So that's a metal flipper tag put on by one of the researchers here. So that has a definitely, you can kind of barely see it if you're looking at it. I'm sure all the visual is on that everybody's watching online, but it's real tough to see even in photos. And it's tougher to see in life when you're swimming after a turtle and trying to read their tag numbers, but that's useful as well. So if you switch to the next slide. So this is a 83 and Hake in action, some of Donald's photos. So the tags are located in the kind of armpit area almost. See that right there? And then on the left rear flipper is right there on the inside, kind of tucked up towards the barrels. So they're not easy to see, but they do exist. So this turtle is also was found on Keely, and she was tagged by the Big Island Project, so she was nested on the Big Island. So the next slide. And this is another example of a turtle that was nesting on the Big Island, tagged over there, and we also tagged her for other purposes we'll talk about later. But again, this is our second turtle that we've known here in Kahikili area that's been foraging Kahikili and then goes to Hawaii Island to nest. But the problem with tagging, as we talked about, tough to see and tough to read. Again, Thoreau did with some cryptosporulate algae that grows at the top of the numbers, you can't really read them. It does have a purpose, but photo ID is even not say better, but it's a really easy thing to do as far as a research methodology, because you just need a camera to catch the turtle and not to get too close to it. So next slide is a really good example of a tagged turtle, but you can barely see the tags. This is a cool turtle because this one's named Skirt Spider, and he found it in 2012. And we did not see skirts at all until 2023, and Justin Warner saw it. And somewhere between 2012 and 2023, it was tagged by most likely the Hawksbill project over on Hawaii Island, because they cited their flippers and we couldn't read the tag numbers, we don't have any information, but we know that she went over there to nest. 11 years apart from the sightings, we still recognize her. Okay, next slide. And that could barely see that little flipper tag on the right rear flipper. And this is a really good example of what the tags look like when they're nice and clean and fresh. You actually can read the numbers. We really love this. And this happens, but it doesn't last long. But you notice that it has the tags on the left and the right flippers. You guys don't see that. And this is also another example of a Kahikili turtle that we knew here, and she came back one year and had flipper tags. So we know she was off the nest. So it's kind of fun to see that where they have following on their journey of their lives. So next slide. And so, as we all know, we live in a very small, isolated state in the middle of the Pacific, but most of our hawksbills that we think stick around in Hawaii. So once they're here, after they go through their pelagic stage when they're little, they come back and they kind of stay around in Hawaii. So everything we have here, even though they go to different islands, they're pretty much local. So it's kind of the perfect candidate for a variety project, so not really super far. But there's a lot of places to look, right? So many places to look. So that's where everybody's out there in the world. Wherever you're snorkeling, wherever you're diving, you might see a hospital. So take a look. Next. So this is what we learned about, oops, I'm losing some of the text there, but so hospitals are pretty cryptic for the most part. We don't know a lot about them. Because they're so rare, they're hard to find, they're hard to track. But that's what photo ID gives us over a long term. So we've been doing this project, our first photos of the project were 1998. So even if anybody's out there listening now that has historically older photos, those are specifically really amazing to see. So if you guys can find your photos from back in the day, you might get a picture of some turtle that we've had at least recently, but that's a whole history 5, 10, 20 years ago. So it'd be really cool look back on this. So this is stuff we can find out, where they're going, what they're eating, how they're hanging out with each other, their habits, their health, any injuries, and how they're, doing out there in the ocean, and how they're fulfilling their ecological roles, like Alex was talking about in the movie. Okay, let me just switch to the next slide since we lost the text there.
I will try.
So some of our methodologies, besides talking to everybody like we're doing right now, and spreading the word about it, we are always looking for any sort of sign of Hawksbills, like whether they're being photographed by local photographers or they're, on a postcard somewhere. Wherever we can find these images, we try to put them in the catalog and see if we can find a match. And if you guys are out there, if you own a dive shop or if you own a store or anything like that, you could post some more flyers to help spread the word. That would be super helpful. And here's a couple of examples of some posters we've used over the years. Just talks about how you could tell the difference between the greens and hawksbills, because that's one big thing that most people don't know, and hoping that we would have hawksbills here because they're so rare. And they look a lot like greens for sure. They're doing the same sort of behaviors a lot of times. But this kind of helps people get an idea that they're out there, and once they know that they're going to be looking for them, then they're going to find them. So, thanks. And then, so starting this project in the year 2000, just talking to people, was it internet back then even? But now there's social media, and now it's just insane about how much information is being shared. And I'm not a good social media person, I'll be the first to admit I'm horrible at it, but trying to get better. And I do have HI Hawksbills on Instagram, so you guys can follow us that way. And then the next slide, you can definitely tag us if you see us hiding, and I'll try to follow up on that. So if you're just scrolling through and, oh, that looks like a Hawksbill. Oh, maybe Cheryl has that in her tail, or maybe she doesn't. Let's send it to her, so we just do the tagging thing and then I can find out. So next slide. And of course, this is the caveat I said at the beginning, but please remember that seashells are protected under state and fed laws, and it's illegal to harass, harm, pursue, capture, or otherwise try to do that kind of stuff. So you've got to make sure that just because you're taking pictures for this project doesn't mean you get a free pass for us to turtle. So be cool with the turtles, thank you. So yes, we want in-water settings. So this is a good example of what a juvenile hawksbill will look like. It's got a really short, serrated shell, the carapace, on the side that really points, almost looks sharp, like you don't want to touch it, right? But you don't want to touch the turtles, right? But as they get larger, those kind of pointy ends kind of get a little worn off there. So the point of this is you want your sightings, but don't harass the turtles, please. And so taking pictures from all different angles is super helpful. So this is kind of a step 1 through 10 on how to get involved with this project. So step 2, just make a note of all these things, the date, time, location, depth, behavior, any reaction to any injuries or concerns you may have. And I'll just say that each turtle we're focusing on will showcase on how different each turtle is and how cool how cool the species is. So step 3, and you can go to my sighting form, hihawksbills.org. There's all kinds of different buttons you can push, and that will take you to the Google form, and you can upload your photos, you can put in all your information of all your observation. Next slide. So step 4, just upload your stuff and enter all your sighting information. I will contact you. And this photo is really cool. I was out with Don on the of course, and this is little O on the left and Barnacle Belly on the right. And they're doing what we call the kissy face. I have a better word. And there's a whole paper written up on it. You can find on our website. It's really interesting, almost like a social interaction. They are almost sniffing each other to figure out what they're doing. So it hasn't only been documented for the most part we know of in Hawaii, and we're really trying to figure out work with other researchers around the world, probably have any other whales to do everywhere else, but Hawaii is kind of unique that you can get in the water with these guys and kind of know where they're going, and of course, especially with John's expertise, find the same ones over and over again, and really kind of build almost a really good, not relationship with them, but an understanding of what they're doing out there. So next slide. Step 5 is give yourself a high five for helping, taking the time, submitting your photos. I know it is time consuming. I know I take 1,000 photos and I just put them on the computer and forget about them. But if you have any time on a rainy day like it is right now, raining out there, you can't dive, you can't snorkel, take your time to go through your photos and send them to you. That'd be super helpful. So step 6 is basically that's all me. I'm gonna download all your stuff. It is gonna take me a little bit. As you can imagine, I do all this by sight. So I don't have a computer program to help me do this yet. I love. I do lots of the jobs, so give me some time on this, but sometimes I know it straight away, but other times, especially if it's a new one to the account, I want to make extra sure and go through a few times to make sure it is new. So, on that note, if I do find a match, of course I'll contact you straight away about which individual it is. If it's a new one to the catalog, you get to choose a name for it. So, no pressure, but it's kind of a big deal, right? So if you scroll through my website, you'll see the list of all that on each island, all the photos and all the names. And everybody has, so it's so fun to hear people's reasons behind people's names that they give these turtles. And you can change it later if you feel like it, but come up with anything you want. So next slide. And then we'll put your new turtle or just your name under the turtle that's already been there, or the that's already been established on there, and just want to give everybody credit for taking the time to send your photos and your sightings. Next slide. And then I will mail you some stickers if it's a recite, and then if it's a new individual, you get a t-shirt. So I know, thank you. And that's it, the final step. You get your stuff, we get more information, everybody wins. So thanks so much for being involved in that. So this is the website, hihawksbill.org, and I basically created the website itself specifically for this in 2016. And you go through all the top things, like there's a million different pages on it. I tried to be the hub of all Hawksbill conservation information. So whatever you want to know, probably more than you ever want to know. I just like to have it all in one area so we can just spread the word about how awesome these animals are. And my motto is every scale tells a tale. Because some of the photos I get, it's really tough, and not that it's anything against the photographers, but condition of our is the greatest, and angles are tough, and so sometimes I can just see part of the flipper, and I'm able to match it. Sometimes I can't, but it's pretty cool how you just use every part of the turtle to do that. And there's a lot of information on the website, of course, of how to tell the difference between greens and hawksbills. That's super important for people to know. And like we mentioned, the hawksbills are pretty endangered. The greens are doing pretty well, so a total difference there. Next slide. And we've got all kinds of data on the site. We don't really need to go into this too much, but we do try to submit abstracts and give presentations at scientific conferences, out in the world. Next slide. So when this type of poster was made at the end of 2021, we had 301 individuals in the catalog. So that was about a year and a half ago, and now we are up to, we'll go over this a bit. So, next slide. So just a little bit of fun facts we can just go through and hit the next slide.
I'm sorry.
That's right. There's a lot of data. I don't expect anybody to understand it, but just kind of gives a good summary of what we've got. And this is kind of old now, but we've got 59 more individuals in power, but this is information we're getting from each island. It breaks down into how many adults and, the sizes and how many males and females and that kind of stuff. So next slide. And this is kind of fun. This is called a discovery curve. So just kind of a history of how many sightings I've gotten since 1998. So we have to the left here, 1998, one sighting, right? And it's projected upward since then. So 2007 is when I met Don McLeish here, so look at that little bump up for sure. And then his history after that, everything was soaring. So when we got on social media in 2019, everything kind of went up a little bit too in 2016 when we made a website. Anyway, the sightings from each island are going up, so that's a good thing. Thanks. So this, again, this is only for 301 of our individuals, I haven't updated this yet, but we have about the same adult male to female ratio, and most of our turtles are small. You can't tell if they're males or females yet. And that's pretty much the same for the last 59 of them as well. A lot of little guys and girls. So that means they're gonna grow up and they're hopefully gonna survive and hopefully get this someday soon. And this is kind of how it's broken down the island. And also kind of keep track of some of the dead ones that we interact with one way or another, or hear about from Noah. So those are on the catalog as well still. But we've got tagged males, tagged females, untagged females, untagged versus tagged overall. And it's kind of tough to decipher what's going on in this graph, but it's kind of fun to see where everything is. And this is, again, totally optimistic sightings, you know, everything coming from citizen science and our patrol team. One cool thing is to find out what they're eating. So Hawksbills in the Caribbean and other equatorial locations where they are, they're known to be more spongivores, which means they focus on eating sponges. And we don't have those big sponges here in Hawaii. So they're going to be eating other things. But they have that sharp hawk-like beak to get into these little crevices to get these little critters to eat. So again, next slide is the sun's turtle, this is like a girl, the star, eating a crown jelly. Next slide. And this is one on Oahu by Alex eating an octopus, little piece of hay. And this turtle was kind of famous for a bit, and then we kind of lost track of him. He was named Psycho for attacking these frogfish. Next slide. And let's see if this video plays. Let's try to click that. It's funny to watch. I feel who I'm rooting for, and I'm rooting for the crab or the Hawksbill, that I think the enemy crab got away. So if anybody's placing bets on that, but you know, you never know what you're going to find out there when they're eating, investigating. Don took this one as well. We don't really figure out what these were, so everybody goes. And then just other random pieces of flesh. And one cool thing about these Hawksbills is when they're digging around in the reef, they really dig up the reef, right? Everyone's seen that. They use their front clippers almost as like spoons and knives to like move things around and pick things up. And so this is Rocky Girl eating a big chunk of algae there. And you're always often going to find these Himalaya, the sourgrass, foraging around with them because the Hawksbills are going to get into mess that these fish are coming in, swooping in, and eating other stuff that they're kicking up. Next slide. So as they're foraging and as they're investigating for food, there have been a lot of fishing gear interactions. This has been quite deadly for some, and some have been rescued by Home Day. So this is a big concern for both greens and Hawksbills. This is the primary concern that we have for their survival. So we got to do whatever we can to keep the reef safe for them out there. These are 2 Hawksbills at a time. So if anybody's out there cleaning the reef, like our awesome turtle team is, you can enter your information and what you're picking up, and that helps us to really quantify what is going on out there in the reefs, because it's really kind of trashy, sadly. So there's information on our website. And then more ecologically sometimes, and then nearshore lake nets and gill nets and things, they're also coming in contact with these guys too. So it's a scary world out there for these turtles. And also vessel strikes, whether it be, boats or throwcraft or whatever you want to call it nowadays. These guys are coming to the surface and they're pretty vulnerable up there, so they can get hit by things. So if anybody sees any of these, things that are, any turtles are in trouble, any marine animals are in trouble, anything that needs a response, this is the number. So I'm pretty much sure everybody has it by now, but it's a good thing to memorize and have it in your phone at all times. Next slide. Everybody's been diving up there, and you guys are awesome divers, but you want to make sure you're just respecting these turtles' spaces, trying not to disturb them. Everybody wants a photo and all that kind of stuff, but really just make sure you're not changing their behavior on a daily basis. They've got a tough life to lead up there. And so we are currently now up at 360 different individuals in our catalog, which is amazing. I'm sure we never thought we'd get this many, and it's rising every day. Next slide. This is the map. Since we're on Maui, we have the most Hawksbills, because we're the coolest. And we have awesome people looking, because you guys know. And we're really trying to do a better job of getting out to the neighbor islands, spread the word about this project as well. But they're catching up as well. So there's so many more out there that we don't know about. So letting everyone know about this. And it's really cool. We have a Meet the Hawksbills tab, and there's a few stories out there. There's a story about Psycho, there's a story about Hawaiian. The reason why we kind of dedicated this whole site to this turtle here, this turtle's named Nani, and Anita Whitmer named Nani, and she had a real kind of a special, what we call it, relationship with. She would find Nani, and Nani was a very playful turtle. She'd come right up to you. And so turtles have different personalities. This turtle is so interested in India, she loves it. And then after a while, after about a year, all of a sudden you kind of, after seeing her a lot, after him or her, we don't know if Nani ever heard of her. So it was so small, but she kind of disappeared. So one day I'm hoping that someone's going to send a picture, and I'm going to be like, oh, finally, it's Nani, and she's doing whatever, Molokai or something, So that's the fun of this project. It's so long term. We can find all these, our old turtle friends, so to speak. Okay, so finally, the star of the show, the reason why you can all come today is our girl, Rocket Girl. So her technical name is NUI-023, which is the 23rd Maui Hawksbill in the catalog, and she is definitely the most photographed and most popular turtle. Thanks to Dog Leash. Next slide. So the first photo of Rocket Girl in the catalog was back on July 13th, 2007. And the photo was taken by CT Sticknor, and she was at Maui. And if you go to the next slide, so CT and some friends were using a site called Animal Tracks, whalematch.org. Back in the day, I don't know if anybody still uses it now. I haven't seen recent entries, but they were putting some of their sightings on this. It's kind of like early citizen science kind of matching sort of thing. And they're not all from Hawaii, some of those are Caribbean shots and things, but it gives you an idea. But that was a good platform for me to kind of do some data mining from, to get some of those earlier sightings back in 2010 or so, 2010. And now there's more sightings opportunities of basically anybody who's citizen science oriented can go to these three sites, iNaturalist, Anic Data, and SciStarter. And I have this project highlighted on there so people can see the project and add their Hawksbill to it. Because our on the iNaturalist can do every critter versus anything, ladybugs, grasshoppers, flowers, anything that you're interested in as a naturalist. So it gets people out there in the world looking at the natural environment and kind of gets everybody together as a community. So it's kind of cool. And we're coming up on the successful launch. It's working now. I'm not in love with it yet. I want to do some unique. I use the flippers more than I use the faces, but this is Bob looks attempted at doing a computer assisted throwing software. So anybody can go on this. It's called Internet of Turtles, IoT, and you can create a login and you can start submitting your sightings if you'd like to. So it's gonna be easier for me one day, just doing it by eye, but I really like doing it by eye, so. Next slide. So going back to this sighting, CT's first rock grill, this was on July 13th, 2007. And then if you go to the next slide, Dawn's first sighting was July 13th, 2008. A year later, isn't that crazy? Exactly a year later. This is Dawn's first sighting of Rocket Girl. So that's his official, her official mugshot on the check-in for 2008. So next slide, and everybody, if they don't know Dawn's website, dmcleish.com, and he has thousands of photos of all the hospitals. It's amazing, and everything else, whales, and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful photos. And so this is Rocket Girl's page on my site, and everybody who sent me photos of her careers, so if you haven't seen Rocket Girl and you're not on the list there, you can send your photos. Send your photos with you on the website. Next slide. So from our first knowing of Rocket Girl 2007, because of the regularity of her being seen in the same area, and a few other turtles that are known to be out there, we figured that these would be best chances to put trailers on them. Or our partners work together and put the tracking devices on to see where they go beyond where we're looking, right? This, like I said, this project is opportunistic. We're seeing them because everybody goes to Potty Keely, everybody goes to Maui, everybody goes to these hot spots. So in between those areas, this could be really good as well. So 2007 or 2015 here, we caught Rock Girl, Misty, and Really, and they all got transmitters. So this is Rock Girl's transmitter. Next slide. And sorry, we should just say that all you have to do is put a possibility. It's not drilling into the turtle, basically gluing it on top of her shell. It's not really hurting her at all. And just when we release her, I'll keep float there. And she's set up like the rocket that she is. And this is about almost a year's worth of her data. So you can see those red dots, and those aren't exact, because there's some bounce off, but basically when the transmitters come to the surface, when she's breathing, that transmitter is going to emit a signal once it breaks the surface of the water, and the orbiting satellites are going to pick that up. And if there aren't satellites around that time, that signal doesn't get found. But it's not exact science, obviously, but this kind of gives you an idea. She didn't go too far, right? That's 2016. Go to the next slide. And then once that antenna wears off, you can see there's no more antenna. So that means it's not transmitting to the satellites anymore. So the transmitter itself is not transmitting, but it's still storing the data, ideally. We don't really know if it's going to or not, right, at this point. It looks like it's a brick on her at this point. You can't tell if it's actually doing anything.
Sorry.
But we just hope it works. So in order to get all that information back from her, this one could have little sensors that are collecting her dive depths and that kind of thing. So we gotta get that transmitter back to get that information. So, and all the two girls, Barnaby and Misty, also lost their antennas pretty quickly. So again, it's not transmitting, so that means, so if you guys are diving and you see, you're like, oh, it's Rocket Girl again, even though the antenna's down, they know where she is. We might not be getting that information. So it's really important to still send us those sightings, even when you think you see a tracker on the back of the turtle. Next slide. So this little video shows T-Todd popping the transmitter out. See, just like that. I'm gonna put it in again, maybe if you missed it. What I do is just kind of pop it off. Really easy. So we're really lucky that we found these all three turtles again to get these transmitters back. First of all, it's quite the lucky feat again with Donna's knowledge of where they are a lot. So that was in 2017, and these are her rock. This is Rock Girl. Her measurements are her curved carapace length is 93 centimeters, and her curved carapace width is 84.5. So memorize those numbers. You go to the next slide. This is how you try to measure a kill. This is called the curved carapace thing. This is Todd and Chandel doing this with Misty. And then, so that was 2017. So our
Those
transfer
numbers were 93 and
23 and
84.5.
84.5. So here's why Rocky was hanging out, living her best life, eating like crazy, living up the reef, doing her thing. And next slide. In 2022, last year, she's caught again by the Noah crew. And so at this point in time, this is her third capture. And this little device is actually showing that she has the potential eggs growing in her. So even though we transferred her before, she didn't go anywhere. As she gets older, it's just a matter of time before she actually becomes reproductive age and actually goes to optimal egg, right? So they took this opportunity by seeing these egg follicles to put another transfer on her. And you go to the next slide. She takes off again like a rocket. And so here are her new measurements. You look right here. So 2017, her curved carapace length was 93. In 2022, 5 years later, she shrunk. What? So this could mean a lot of different things. The way you measure it is different. Each person measures slightly differently. One thing about the Hawksbill is their shells are jagged, right? And they get damaged, like they're not going to be like this pristine, beautiful turtle eggs, so you can't really tell how much they're growing. But as adult turtles, they're not growing very fast anyway. But the curved carapace width is exactly the same. So that's kind of fun. So she might have, just got a little dinged up a little bit, or, it's just a measure. So, next slide. So that was in March of 2022. The transfer was on, and she didn't go for a long time again to see what was green dots. And then Dawn checked her site, and about 3 weeks ago, she up and takes off.
May 11th.
May 11th. Mm-hmm. She heads down south, goes to try to find the Kihei, where I live, cruises around south. It goes quite around the way of it, and then hits the channel, heads south. And if you do the next slide, this is where she is today. Drum roll, please. Wow. Yeah, so she's going the distance, right? So, whether she would have kept on going around counterclockwise or anti-clockwise versus clockwise around the island, who knows how they figured that out. But she went down and up and around and anti-clockwise, as they say in the background. So, this is where she is today. We don't know exactly, she hasn't nested yet, we know of. Not going to be any indication that that has been shown, but this is where most of the Hawksbill nests are in Hawaii. So she's at the right spot. So hopefully we'll know more within the next month for sure, whether she's doing her thing. So that's the big deal. So this paper just came out by Alex, the guy that was on the video earlier, Dr. Gauss, and then a few other people in NOAA. They're looking at genetics and how there could be a very, very, very tiny population that we know of in Hawksbills here in Hawaii, and how it's going to affect their breeding success. So this paper is on my website. If you want to see it later, read it. It's very complicated because I don't know genetics. I'm not a geneticist at all, so it's kind of a little bit over my head. So look to the next slide. This is what I do know. What I have seen meeting one time off Molokai, and I hate to say that we totally disrupted them because we didn't even see them until the last minute. We were snorkeling, and they were kind of in murk at the top of the surface. And looking, like all of a sudden we saw them, they saw us, and they took off. And it was the only mating I've ever seen, but it happened. And what was really cool is with Dawn's photos, we were able to use the underside of the female's flipper patterns to be able to match her to a turtle Norkel named Kenyana, also found here at Kayakiwa. So a little bit of connected word, and it might, I can find glass to be able to find her. The male is not in the catalog yet, we still have to recite him, so he's a new one. So that's kind of cool. So one of our turtles we mentioned before, Psycho. Psycho was caught on film trying to make the green turtle. So this didn't work out very well, or maybe it did, don't know. But again, this kind of references the paper, whether they, it's a big ocean out there, how do they find each other? The girls with the boys matching up at the perfect time, it's gotta be magical, right? So we go to the next slide. And this was a recent sighting that is kind of cool. So if you look at the picture on the right, this is a turtle on the top and matched to a turtle named Free, HI044 on Hawaii Island. And he was around this usual area where he's always been kind of spotted. And the turtle on the left, or the bottom, I could not find a match in that yet. So these are Susan Melton or Minton's video that she sent me. So I see this version, and then Donna sees on the Facebook, and I don't understand. And he sends her dive buddy's other video, so if you switch to the next slide. And this is on the other side where Susan is, and this is what Laura is seeing. And if you look really closely, you'll notice this and this. These are two tails, those are males. So this means they're two males trying to hang out together. Which is fine, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But it really kind of changes what we're trying to identify this bottom turtle as, right? So now there's two males, not a male and a female, which, hey, that's cool. But again, it shows like Hawksbill is able to find each other to successfully mate. So hopefully Rock Girl is over there on Hawaii Island somewhere, finding a hot guy, having a great time, and successfully actually mating so she can have some eggs. Next slide. This is what we hope for Hawksbill to have. Hopefully Rock Girl will be able to lay some good eggs. And next slide. Oh, so Hawksbills lay like 180 eggs per nest on average. That's a lot of eggs. Greens only weigh about 120 per nest. So hopefully she'll nest on a beach where the Hawaii Island Expo nesting project will be monitoring her. They'll see her transmitter, they'll see her tag number. She'll be like, oh yeah, she's right there. They'll let us know right away on speed dial. We know where she's up to. And next slide. And hopefully her nest will be I could put some tools in there for you. Okay, next slide. So this is I don't know if you saw the video that Alex was on, she had a good map of this, and it shows that we were talking about earlier, the nesters don't leave Hawaii to nest in Japan or anything. They stay in Hawaii, they stick around. Sometimes they stay on the same island to nest, but they're not going far. But yeah, these are some satellite transmitter turtles. Some are Hawksbill. Maui Hawksbill nesters that have gone to Hawaii Island to forage. So she's kind of doing the opposite. She's nesting on Hawaii Island, living on Maui. So it's kind of fun where they go, so we don't really ever know. And this is one that's not on that previous map, but this is a turtle that we transferred on at Lilipoa down in South Maui here. It's a nesting beach area. After she's done nesting, she swam south around anti-clockwise again and ended up north of kind of the Kahu Harbor area. So she's a total map girl, right? She didn't go to the Pinewood. And ironically, so this website, you can look at all of these different tracks. It's really quite interactive. You can, see which route they took and it's sort of fun. And that's on the website too, you can see. So if you go to the next slide, so this turtle particularly, we're very intrigued by going to a place where we do our 4th Sunday every month beach week after that every time. So we know this area really well, right up here at Hawaiian. That's where always right on some good locations. So this area is really on the north side. Has anybody ever snowboarded out there? Yeah. Like you're not gonna be out there snowboarding. It's really rough and windy. So that turtle, this turtle we would probably never would have found in water catalog. So she's totally like one of those examples that transmitters, the satellite transmitters are really helpful. So this brings us to nesting season, which it is right now. So we definitely need everybody's help. If anybody has any interest in helping with turtles, we definitely could use more help. So you can check out wildhawaii.org and you can email wildhawaii.org. So here's the next slide. We are right now trying to schedule everybody for doing what we call dog patrol, and that's where the DAR, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and we collaborate with everybody to send out volunteers to actually look for tracks. The next slide. So this is an example of a turtle track. This is at Oliloa Beach. So the turtle came out like this, came up here, and I think she nested, I can't remember, and then she went back that way. So we have people walking these beaches every morning looking for these tracks. So next slide. And then once we determine they nested, then we calculate the time it takes for her to return. So they don't just nest one time a year, they nest multiple times, maybe up to 5 times per season. So hopefully Raphael's over there can nest 5 times per season over that. We'll see. So we want to make sure we keep these turtles safe when they are doing their nesting, right? We want to know where the nests are so we can monitor them really closely. So that's a big deal. We walk, patrol each different beach all night. So everybody likes to get their exercise. It's a really good project to get involved in. Next slide. And then once the hatchlings are about to emerge, we have people watching them 24/7. So when they do emerge, we make sure they get to the ocean safely. So that's really fun if you like to just go to the beach and read a book, stare at sand, read a book, stare at sand, and hopefully wait. You know, hopefully your ship, you'll get lucky that the turtle will come out. Next slide. So they're really having a hard time with these invasive species in the dunes, sea level rise. There's so many things that these turtles are getting stressed about. So we're trying to help them as much as we possibly can. That's why it's really important we know where these nests are. Next slide. And it can be a small little footprint that these turtles can get caught in, and we can't get out. This one's okay, we got out just fine. But sometimes they flip over, or they can't get back over in that process. Crabs can come up and get them first, and get them, things like that. So that's why we're here, basically making sure that each and every turtle actually gets to the ocean safely. And then after the first emergence, we wait 3 days and let most of the turtles come out of the room, and then we dig up the nests to inventory what's left over in the nest. So we help whichever ones are covering roots or whatever to get out and get them all to the ocean safely. Next slide. And this is what we love to see, them all the way off into the sunset safely and happily and healthily. So that's what we've been doing for Wildlife and started this project since 1996. So there have been thousands of volunteers helping over the course of this project. So everybody who has helped couldn't do it without you. The turtles definitely thank you. So thank you all. Next slide. So just wrap it all up. If you want to learn more, our website has, like I said, tons of info on it. All the papers. If you want to get the data. If you want a lighter topic, you can hit the next slide there. I actually wrote a book with my friend Margie, who's a really amazing artist. She did all these really cool watercolors in the book and created this story. This is our turtle Oli. And speaking of every turtle having a story, this turtle has a good story too. So you can get this book on our website and on Amazon. It's called Finding Oli. And next slide. That's it. Just a reminder that you guys can send your photos in and hope to see what's Hawksbill out there. If anybody has any questions, I don't know how it works with everybody online, but I'm happy to feel anything.
Do you have an estimate, or do you have an estimate on the population? I know you have a catalog ones that can extrapolate.
Yes, good question. So do I have a population estimate? That is what I need a brilliant statistician to come in and utilize.
Stand right in front of that screen for me. Thank you. Perfect.
So yes, I would love to be able to answer that question. That's the whole point of what we're doing. Knowing very much that our data has a lot of, have a lot of limitations. Because like I said, it's just opportunistic. We're not looking around everywhere. There's so many more turtles that are in our catalog that we know are out there. But using this information with the combination of the nesting stuff would be an amazing way to look at them. So that's the dream, and that's the hope to do that, let them together and do that sometime. Yeah.
My other question is anyone doing this kind of work with the pony, the greens, and their populations seems to have exploded?
Yeah, so I first started taking photos of doing the same thing what I do with greens, and when I realized that I would just never, ever, ever have any time to do anything else, and everybody in this room would have to do everything with me as well, and everybody online listening would have to just do that whole time to keep up with all the greens that are out there. It's totally doable, absolutely. There's a whole Kiva population, start to put a ID catalog there, and so if you take a closed population more or less, and just kind of take a bite size of it, be like, my research question is how many turtles are asking in Kiva, right? That's an easy answer, and the only other way to do that is by tagging all of them. But if you're there taking photos of all of them, it's the best way to get that information, but you've got 150 turtles to deal with. And different numbers every day are coming in, and you're only seeing the right side, which is great, because we come in, but when we're leaving, the left side, which turtles? So there's complications in that, but that's absolutely started, and you can check in with Hannah and Christina on that project where it's gone since I left, but it's totally doable. Is there a way to calculate, photograph every turtle in Hawaii? No way. But maybe with AI, everything is possible. But yeah, but that's what's good about OID. There's other populations around the world, like, different divers. So it's a really good way to get, like I said, citizen science, get people involved in conservation. So, divers or in Bali could have their customers take photos and they can identify them. It's just a fun way to get folks involved. But for Hawaii, for greens, there's no way.
Cheryl, we have a question from the chat here asking, do the AI tend to return to the same beach to nest?
Good question. So the Aya, which is Maui, depending on who you want to ask, it's Maui, different islands called Aya. The Hawksbills, they do return to their natal area. So not necessarily the same exact beach. We don't know this exactly because we weren't here 20, 30 years ago. Like it takes that long for them to reach the reproduction age, first of all. So if they were born, I was using examples like that. They're born where the beach, where the Grand Wailea was 50 years ago, and they come back and they come there, they see the Grand Wailea all built up, are they going to want to nest in that spot? Not necessarily. But they will go to that area and then find a darker and quieter, ideally safer beach for them to nest. And then will they come back and may to that same spot where they found for their other 4 nesting season? That's very variable as well. Depends on the individual. So the individuals that we've documented and followed and monitored over the years, they tend to kind of stick to the same spot. So our turtle Ryan, who nests at Honolulu, lays mostly at Honolulu. Then she'll go over to Wood Beach and throw us all off. But it's the same area. And then, Kalia is a big mystery. We'll get one nest at the Kalia, and then that turtle won't be seen again. So the whole stretch, should be going further away, we don't know. So it's really site specific between our nesting beaches, and so it's really variable. It was whether that turtle was just going to nest one time for here or not. It just depends, but they're gonna go back to their farm.
That leads to one of my own personal questions. I know that Dawn McLeish, she was in the back of the room, and I wish we could get you out there so everyone could see you, so I'm gonna see if we can make this happen. Come on up here, Dawn. Walk right on around there and end up in front of that screen next to Cheryl, because
Break the cable or something?
one of the things that you put up on the Book of Faces recently is that Rocket Girl, when she left that South Maui area and made her trek across the channel over to the Big Island,
Right.
there was a duration of time that she traveled.
Yeah, it's insane. She didn't quite make it to Hana, but she left from there, and she actually went past the north tip of Big Island. And it was under 20 hours to make that,
Did you cross across the channel in under 20 hours?
which is pretty amazing. Yeah.
That's crazy. And I was, one of the questions that came up for me during your talk, Cheryl, and you get to stay there, Dawn, because you know so much about this as well, is they have their foraging areas. That's one of the things that was talked about in the video, if people couldn't hear it. Will Rocket Girl come back to her home foraging area after nesting? I mean, these are the questions that I imagine nobody knows the answers to.
Yeah, I mean, this is my girl's first go at it, so technically she could do whatever she wants. She might get over there like, wow.
Yeah,
Rachel, you're amazing. But
I mentioned that to Irene Kelly, one of the NOAA, and she thinks that Rocket Girl will return. I noticed that last year, Rocket Girl was the only Hawksbill that had the parent egg fold, so she got the tag. They also tagged 4 or 5 greens, and they wanted to tag greens that had pit tags that showed they had nested prior to East Island. And they wanted to know if they were going to go back there, so they tagged those greens. I think only 2 of them, and maybe just 1, actually ended up nesting, but I was able to follow that because she did nest last year when she was supposed to. And she went up there, she spent 3 months up in the Northwest Islands, and then came back to the North Shore. So it was full circle. I'm hoping that Rocket Girl will do the same thing.
Somebody on the mainland said that they're a landlocked turtle lover, and is there a way to help or show support if we aren't living on the islands?
Go ahead. Yeah, there's a lot of ways.
I mean, just by doing what you're doing, loving turtles wherever you are, that's super helpful. Just getting that appreciation for nature and empathy for what the world is doing to these animals, whether you're a turtle, a sea turtle, a dolphin, a ladybug, whatever is going on out there, that you can help wild and help nature survive is awesome. And then if you're, flying from Hawaii and come look us up and come help us out with any beach cleanups or cleanups with or in that person's area, wherever you are, things you were doing on the mainland, whether you're in Iowa or California, it all affects our planet. So just having that absolutely is helpful.
Yeah, another thing I get involved in is there's a lot of entanglement with the fishing line, and I designed a rescue sled, if you will, and I purchased the first one. It was really expensive, and it turned out that it's worked really well.
A rescue
Sled.
sled.
When we hear of a turtle, most of the time it's a green, but we go snorkeling and we'll find the turtle, we'll catch the turtle, get it up on the sled, bring it into the beach, and typically it ends up going to Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute, where they'll take the hook out and treat any wounds or whatever. Other times, if it's not so serious, the turtle can be dealt with there on the site. But with Cheryl's, all the work she's doing, and with Maui Ocean Center Marine Institute, they're all funded by donations. So, like everybody, always needs a buck.
One of our moderators said that donations to fund these kinds of projects are always welcome. So definitely Cheryl's project would be a good one to donate to. Somebody else in the crowd had a question, so let's move over here. Is that
I guess my question was more about once they do reach sexual maturity, how frequently is this nesting behavior happening? What survival rates look like, and how it kind of ties into the bigger picture and the efforts on making conservation, and how does that information inform how you pursue things?
Absolutely, yeah, this is starting to dive into all the gory details of, how all the nesting process happens and all that kind of stuff, but they don't nest every year, because even though Rocket grows so fast, and she makes it every year like it's nothing, it's a big deal to do that, so they're not gonna be doing this reproductive output every year. So it's every, greens have been known to do every other year. We haven't documented any Hawksbills doing it every other year. I think the smallest time here, I think, was 3 years, so it's really 4 to be a second. But again, this is if we see them nest every time. So we get a good regularity of some turtles, but not all, and they're all individualistic each. I don't feel like nesting this year. I wanted to go nest, and I didn't find a mate, so I couldn't nest. Like, there's so many different variables that are in the natural world that we can understand. It's really hard for us to document. But if you look at the website, there's a bunch of different papers that basically compile everything we do know about the nesting behaviors, and glean from the Hawaiian project and the project here. And it's so sporadic. We're only getting a handful of nests every year for Hawksbills. So Hawksbills nest in the main Hawaiians, like Donald's mentioned, the greens. Most of the greens go to the northwestern Hawaiians. And there's a lot of information on North End, because there's one island that they almost always all go to. They kind of course, spread around all the northwestern Hawaiians, but the one island that's been studied the longest since the 1970s is called East Island. So that's where this turtle went. So there's researchers that are there that are walking that little island, it's really small, walk around in 10 minutes, that are capturing every turtle that's nesting. And so they have a really good history of what's going on with that actual population with the greens, way more than we do with Hawksbills, which could be nesting, in really remote places. They're really hard to get. You got to hike for a day to get to these spots. So just by default, the Hawksbills are very sporadic, and you're not going to one area, it makes it really tough to study. So then you're looking at, okay, so we've got this many nests, and you asked about reproduction success. So each beach and each female is going to produce either really good results or really bad results, and each nest will be completely different. So the long story short, to your question, if you have 5 nests per season, by one turtle, she lays 200 eggs per nest, you got 1,000 eggs, potentially, right, to actually hatch. So within that 1,000 possibilities of actually making it, actually developing, hatching, getting out of the nest successfully, not getting eaten by a crab, not getting stepped on, whatever, not going wrong with the lights, making it to the ocean, it really depends on our activities, like if we're there helping them, if the Big Island Project is there helping them, if nests sometimes we get on other islands, the variable, it's going to be so variable. So between 0% and 100% per nest, anywhere between there. But even if we did get, 1,000 hatchlings making it to the ocean per season, which would be impossible to get them all out there, then they've got to swim off and survive for the next 20 years to become reproductively able to lay their own eggs. So the odds are so against these guys' survivability. That's why we put so much effort into trying to help each one get there. But the fun fact of like, one egg out of every 1,000 is going to make it to survival and to make it to adulthood or whatever. You see those fun facts every now and then? You can't. Yeah, it's a good way to kind of get people to think about how low the survivability is, but looking at our data is really good place. And we do try to keep track of all that as much as possible, so we know how conservation is. But at some point, you've got to look at that as, okay, are we getting enough hatchlings out there in the world to be able to sustain this population? Because not adding up, we can do the math. So, yes, all this information is being taken into account to answer the question, how many hospitals are there in the population? The $1 million question, really know how many grains are in the population, really. These are really hard things to look, but all the information we gather from all these different methods and ways is going to help us inform those decisions. So that's kind of why we do everything we do. And we just all need to sit down and bring it all together and get some modeling done and that kind of stuff. So what's been done is all the websites you can geek out on, looking at all the information that has been gathered. It's been published pretty well by the other guys and stuff, but so many things we just don't know.
I think we have a few more client questions, or customer, no, that's weird. Questions. Don, did you want to add something?
Yeah, she mentioned East Island, and I read it, one document that I think they felt 70 or 80% of the grains here in the state of Hawaii come from East Island. Well, we had those hurricanes a few years ago. One nesting season, East Island was underwater. So what happened to all of those nesters? Were they successful in going somewhere else? Nobody knows. The other problem that I'm aware of, and I don't think it was mentioned, at some point during the gestation of the eggs or doing the things that are, at some point temperature dictates whether it's male or female, right? The cooler, the male, the warm, female. I've also read statistics where 90-some% of all small turtles and shells that were tested were female. With climate change and global warming, we may have a whole bunch of girls and not enough boys. I mean, for the longest time, I had never seen a male hawksbill. I've finally seen two now. How many males do we have in the state compared to females?
It's almost a 1-to-1 ratio.
Is it?
Yeah, there are way more, and again, what we knew 10 years ago is completely different with what we know now. So it really is just gathering all information. But before that, we had barely ever no knowledge of males. We're like, they don't exist. They're just all girls. But we have had definitely a lot more male sightings lately. So it really is like just getting the word out there to those divers that are going, further out in areas where we've never gone to. They're the ones seeing the cool turtles. They're the ones seeing the big males. They're just seeing more than what we're seeing. So the more people we get on board with this project, the better. For sure, yeah, sea level rise. What's Maui going to be like in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? Will these turtles come back? It's really scary thing to think about, what the population is going to have to be dealing with on so many different levels. It's really depressing sometimes when you think about it, but we have to, I always say, helping much over time is all we can do. Every turtle we can help better, and just making these bigger changes in our lives that we can do like the wilderness, Earth Man, put them in wherever you are in the world to do things that are positive for the environment. We just have to try, I guess.
So the slide with the pie chart on the breakdown of males versus females, where it was 61% males and like 10% adult females, is that just at the cataloged ones? Did I misunderstand that? Because I was thinking, like, is that surprising that there's so many more males? And now you're saying it's a 1-to-1.
Yeah, no, that's definitely.
I must have misread that pie chart.
Yeah,
So,
we can bring that back over possible.
and then,
Listen.
I've seen Hawksbills, and I'm really fortunate that I've actually seen Rocket Girl at Airport Beach. And I guess I've never seen a male Hawksbill, so it's just the same identification, the large tail. Yes, I've never seen them. And I'm totally amazed that green sea turtles don't rifle the beak quite the same as the Hawksbills. And is that like, if the population were to explode, would that be detrimental to the reef that they're rifling through it so much? I mean, I just I guess I've never seen Hawksbills feeding, just cruising around. So I guess that's finding out about that and then about the feeding, and I have one more question, sorry.
I don't know. That's what this is all about. Yeah, thanks for your insight. So, we'll bring the pie chart back up again. Maybe, maybe not. But it's about 28 males and 29 females. It was, and that was the totals back through 2021, when I had 301. That's when I did a bunch of data summaries and whatnot. I haven't looked at, haven't had time. I haven't had time to do the new total for the last 59 Hawksbill we have in the catalog since then. But there's been a few males, a few females, mostly a lot of the smaller ones, we just don't know. But yes, the male Hawksbills have longer tails, just like the greens, noticeably. As far as the foraging behaviors, greens sometimes do a little bit of that digging as well, but they're mostly going to be foraging on the rocks. So that's going to be an area where they're, falling on the rocks and kicking it. It's not going to be as bad as what the Hawksbills are going for. But yeah, the Hawksbills definitely are good for reef, but that's also good. That provides new growth, new things for reef to be dealing with.
That's fascinating. So my final question, I believe, is, sorry. Oh, here we go. Oh, this is sizes.
Okay, so
It's not.
So size classes. So since we're not tagging all, these are just by observations. So I get the photo, I'm like, okay, this is definitely a really tiny turtle, so I call it juvenile.
Okay.
And a subadult is what I call, basically, since we're not measuring them, my interpretation of what the photo says as far as whether they're not quite big enough to be nesting age that we think, but they're not juveniles either. So those are thrown into the subadult category. And then obviously when we know Rockwell's adult, and you see that
big.
She's pretty good. Yeah, she's over 90 centimeters. 93 depending on how her shell is measured.
Again, I'm comparing more to my knowledge of green sea turtles, so.
Yeah, they don't get as big as the greens. So they're still pretty big. And then if I can't see the tail region, if I only have a headshot or whatever, then it's just a line. But for this information, yeah, it's about 1-to-1 with the adults, female to male.
Thank you for bringing that up. I was not reading that correctly. And my final question is about the beaches where they're choosing to nest, and totally stunning about Rocket Girl going so far. And you mentioned that was like around South Point of the Big Island is where most of the Hawksbill nests are. The Kiawea Pond in Kihei, is that mostly, it says it's a turtle nesting area. Is that a Hawksbill or greens?
Whoever wants to come nest there.
And so she just bypassed right by there and said, I'm going over there.
Yeah, so they returned in their area 1, and that's the highest concentration of Hawksbill nesting sites in the whole state. I'm sorry, back to the front.
No, stay up there, get on up there.
So you think she just likes hanging out on Maui?
I think she likes on.
I
So yeah, so they absolutely swim right by all kinds of potentially good nesting areas. That's what turtles do. They have that strong natal homing instinct to go back to the area they're born. But Kiawea is the Hawksbill nesting spot. But we had a green nest there last year, and we had one leatherback try to nest there back in the 90s. So my wish, upon all wishes for the turtle world out there is for all leatherbacks to come and stand up. But yeah, anybody can nest there. It's not very expensive.
I read one of the documents, but I didn't pay attention to who it was. I can't remember names, but somebody was documenting pregnant hawksbills in the East Pacific, so I guess Central America or South America, somewhere down there. And they noticed that the female hawksbills that they felt were pregnant were spending more time in deeper water, less time foraging. And I kind of felt that Rocket Girl was spending more time out in the outer reefs, and just, she would suck her head way in. Lots of times when she's resting, the net would be out there. It was kind of odd behavior, and I thought, I wonder if maybe. And then I actually saw a male hawksbill about a month and a half ago swim over the same area where she was. And I think Cheryl said that the last time that one was seen was 10 or 11 years ago, that male. you remember? I don't know. But, I mean, it's the second male I've seen, and I went, oh, this is cool. I mean, Rocker Girl's acting kind of goofy, and there's a boy around. Next thing I know, I started, because I have access to the satellite, and for over a year, Rocker Girl was not doing anything, and then I went and looked and went, wait a minute, is this an error? No, I mean, she took off. So it's pretty exciting. Now, I don't know whether that could have been a male that she mated with then, and so she's just going to nest, or if she's going here to meet more boys, and it could be a combination. There's so much that they just don't know.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions that came up for me during the talk is, you're saying that she had follicles last year, but nothing happened. And she didn't go anywhere, and maybe or maybe not, she hung out with a boy, but we don't, nothing happened, she didn't nest. But then this year, she took off on May 11th, it's May 31st right now. She's near one of the most famous nesting sites for Hawksbill turtles. And what you said that really piqued my interest was, she may be going there not to lay eggs that she already has, but to mate and then lay the eggs. Is that, or is there a longer gestation period? Like, what is the gestation period? Do we know that?
Well, okay, so back up a little bit. So we don't know exactly how fast the eggs grow inside, or it depends on the diet, depends on the turtle, that kind of stuff. They might know in a captive situation where you can monitor that really well. They're out in the wild, we don't know how long it actually takes. But, so she's gonna have a whole batch of eggs in her, but she can lay eggs without mating. They'll be infertile. But if she has that drive to do that, that can totally happen. Or she can get mate with a male, or multiple males, like they could store the sperm, and then it's like sperm competition as the eggs are going through the follicle, the sperm are trying to fertilize those eggs. So they might not all be fertilized, there could be something reproductively wrong with the sperm, there could be something wrong with her, like there's so many different things that have to line up to go just right for those, just one batch of eggs to be able to develop successfully. So these are all things we don't know. And then she's gonna have that time period where she's gonna rest. So she lays an egg, an egg clutch with 180 eggs, and she's just gonna go somewhere and she's gonna hang out. And this is the time period where the only way we know this, and I don't know if this is only a couple examples, but when we're tracking turtles, we used to put radio transmitters on them. We couldn't afford the satellite transmitters, these radio transmitters. And same sort of thing, they come on the surface, they enter the signal, and you're listening with headphones, and you hear the signal, and they beep. It's like beep. You're listening to static for hours, and all of a sudden you hear beep, 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 and you're like, am I hearing something? What is this really happening? And that's when they're at the surface, and that's when you have to be within the line of sight to see them. So long story short, when I was watching television for Orion, and that's the Formuloa Big Beach, found her finally way off towards Nubu. So she was nesting at Big Beach, everybody knows what Big Beach is. She would swim all the way out to the west, like super, I don't remember how many miles it was, but a long way. Like she could have just gone out, 20 feet away off Big Beach and sat there. She swam all the way out there and sat there, and I could time her. It was within every 2 hours and 10 minutes when she would come on the surface for 2.5 minutes and then go back down. And nothing. I just sit up static for 2 hours and 12 minutes. And she'd come up, beep, beep, 2.5 minutes, go back down for 2.5 hours. Like this constantly happened for days. And then she'd swim all the way back to nest again. So during that time period, the point of that long story is that that's when she was really resting and just not moving around a lot, even though she's probably next to food that normally on the reef she would totally be eating. And maybe she did move around a little bit and just, snapped a little bit, but for the most part, when you're swimming around and enjoying the energy, you gotta come to the surface more. So if we know her behavior is so, like I could set and wash on her, she's just resting. So then she swims all the way back to the beach, nests again, and does the same thing, goes back for that. I mean, that's really crazy behavior. Crazy.
Is there possibly a boy involved during that time, or they don't know?
So we think that the receptivity for mating,
Yeah.
is that right? It happens at the beginning. So all the matings that happen at the beginning of the nesting season, and then the males are gonna go back to where they came from, and then the girls are really left to do what they're doing. So it's not, she could make someone on the way here too, but there's a window of time where she needs to do that. And we don't know exactly what that is or how that works physiologically, but and the males have, it's kind of cool with the males. What happens with the males, they have like we call like soft shell. So the males have to be on top of females, right? And they get like the spongy shell, we call it. So they're able to grasp on and stick to her more. So that's another physiological thing that happens with the males.
That develops during the nesting season, or it's like that all the time?
No, it's just for whatever. And again, I'm not testing that spongy shell for males, but that's a thing.
And how long is the nesting season here in Hawaii?
Well, nesting season in Hawaii could potentially be year-round, for all we know, but we're only really looking starting in May, and then, so if the turtle rock nest tomorrow, June 1st, 1 a.m. She's gonna nest again in, say, 14 to 22 days. And then she's gonna nest again in 14 to 22 days, nest again. So if she can nest it 5 times, her nest will be done November-ish, hatched out in November. So we usually are done by Thanksgiving, but sometimes we'll have many Thanksgiving dinners at Sitting and Nesting Beach. We have one New Year's Eve Sitting and Nesting Beach. So our window is it's totally variable, depends on when they start. And for us, it depends on when we find the nest, right? On the Big Island and other islands, we have net hatchlings coming out totally during the winter. And so we don't know if they started nesting earlier or started nesting later. So these are all things we know, that we think we know. We like to put them right on our calendar, right? May 1st, nesting season starts. May 15th, whale season ends, right? No, that's not the case. These are wild animals we're going to be literally doing. Everything's changing out there in the ocean. We don't really know. Like, these are the things that we like to keep our things in order, what we like to predict what's going to happen. But they could be doing things what they want to do. They need to be doing all year round. So.
I have a question actually about Rocket Girl's Ledge, which for divers and swimmers is like a little spot that she likes hanging out at Kali. And as divers kind of like to say that she like makes a ledge for herself that she likes like perfectly into. Do we know if that's actually true, or is that a speculation or coincidence?
Are you talking about the yellow hut?
Yeah, I guess so. But it almost kind of looks like a little yeah, just a little ledge. Yeah.
Are you talking about a spot that's out there you see her? Like second or third reef?
Yeah, second reef,
Yeah, I call it the yellow hut.
Okay.
She hangs out there, but I have seen her there, I've seen Margaret and Billy there, I've seen Misty there, and I've seen Little Ho there. There's a few spots out there, and I don't know if it's like dogs marking a place so other dogs know, but you kind of look around and go, oh, this should be a good spot, but no, that's a popular spot. And why that is, I don't know. Apparently they can smell or sense things like when they're doing that color pumping. How do they find each other? I don't know. But yeah, that's definitely a hot spot that the Hawksbill like. Yeah.
I would also just add that from watching green sea turtles and when they have their favorite spots over and over again, all the extra work to accommodate them by them, so that just the friction of their shell where they like to lay and where they like to scratch. Yeah, I totally think that it would conform to the perfect turtle shape. Yeah. So, does anyone else have any questions for our experts up here? No? Cheryl, thank you so much for coming and talking to us about our Rocket Girl, our Lahaina Girl.
I guess I want to say to the diving industry and the snorkeling industry, people who are out in the water here in Maui, or I guess now the Big Island, we may not see Rocket Girl for a while, right? So it'll be really keen for us to know when she returns to the reef. Fingers crossed she comes back to Lahaina side, West Maui. And then for those of you who may be watching on the Big Island, we sure hope you send in your reports so that we know where our favorite girl is at during her time away from home. So on behalf of Moana Kai Foundation, thank you guys so much. If you have any time to help us put away the chairs, we would really appreciate that. And aloha, you guys.
Thank you.